Fear not when your order is broken, when life seems to turn upside down. For how can you be so sure that the bottom is not better than the top? These words of Shams of Tabriz fall like a pebble into the still water of the soul. At first, they create ripples of disturbance, for your heart resists the thought of losing its order, its comfort, its imagined control. But then, slowly, the ripples spread, and the water grows still again, yet not the same water as before. Something has shifted. Something has awakened. You see, beloved one, the human heart clings to stability. It wants to know what tomorrow will bring. It wants to draw neat lines and live within them. You call this order. But sometimes that order is nothing but a cage built from fear. And when life, in its mysterious compassion, shakes the walls of your cage and throws you into what looks like chaos, you tremble. You say, "My life is ruined." But Shams whispers to you, "How do you know? How do you know that what you call ruin is not a secret mercy? That what you call loss is not the beginning of a truer gain?" Rumi once said, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. And do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know the side you are used to is better than the one to come? Do you hear the echo?" Rumi heard this wisdom from Shams, and he lived it. His own life was shattered the day Shams entered it. He was a respected scholar, ordered, admired, his days full of sermons and writings. Then came Shams, like a storm, scattering all the neat pages of his life into the winds of love. Outwardly, his order was ruined. Inwardly, a sun rose. And so I turn to you now. Tell me, haven't you faced moments when life broke the pattern you clung to? Perhaps you lost a job, or a relationship you thought would last forever. Perhaps you found yourself moving to a city you never dreamed of, or carrying a burden you swore you could never endure. In that moment, didn't you feel despair, as if the ground was taken from beneath your feet? But think again. Look back. Wasn't it in those very times that you discovered a strength you didn't know you had, a depth you didn't know you carried? Listen closely. Life is not against you. The beloved is not cruel. When the rug is pulled from under your feet, it is often so you may learn to fly. What looks like loss may be a hidden invitation to find a truer self, a self unbound by the illusions of control.
Eunice Emre sang, "Do not say, I am ruined. Everything that is ruined is for the sake of the new." These words flow like honey into the bitter heart of change. What you call broken is often what allows the light to enter. What you call an ending may be the very door through which your soul is born anew. Yes, I know, it is not easy. When you are in the middle of chaos, these words may sound distant, almost cruel. But stay with me. Feel them not with your mind alone, but with your heart. The Sufi path has always been about trust. Trust in the unseen, trust in the beloved's hidden plan. And trust is not born in comfort. Trust grows when everything familiar dissolves and you are left naked before the mystery of existence. Consider the seed buried in the dark soil. If it could speak, perhaps it would cry, "I am being suffocated. My shell is cracking. I am being destroyed. But we who see beyond know that this destruction is the birth of life. Without the breaking of its shell, the seed could never become a flower. Could it ever imagine, in the darkness of the soil, the fragrance it would one day carry? So it is with you. When your life cracks open, it is not a punishment. It is the soil of your becoming. Modern life has taught you to cling to your plans, your possessions, your identity, your image in the eyes of others. But Sufism whispers a different secret. What you cling to may be the very thing that prevents you from knowing your true self. Sometimes the beloved must take it away, so you may learn that you are not your job, you are not your titles, you are not even the story you tell about yourself. You are the breath within the breath. You are the soul that is vast, infinite, beyond all order and disorder. Let me tell you a truth. Comfort is not always a friend, and chaos is not always an enemy. Comfort can lull you into forgetfulness. Chaos can awaken you to presence. That is why Shams says, "Do not fear when life turns you upside down, for the upside down may reveal to you the sky you never saw when your eyes were fixed only on the ground." And you, yes, you, how often have you prayed for change, for growth, for transformation? But when it arrives, you resist. You say, "Not like this, not this way." Yet the beloved knows better than your limited mind. Sometimes the only way to bring you closer to your essence is to dismantle the structures you thought would last forever.
Do not mourn too long what is gone. Rumi said, "Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure." This is not poetry alone. It is lived truth. Think of your deepest wounds. Did they not teach you compassion? Did they not soften your heart, make you more human, more open? Without those wounds, would you carry the same depth today? So let your order break. Let your life be turned upside down. Trust that in the ruin lies a hidden architecture, one your eyes cannot yet see. I want to tell you something. When Shams spoke these words, he was not speaking of theories. He was speaking of lived surrender. He knew the cost of letting go of order. He knew the fire of being misunderstood, rejected, cast aside. Yet he stood in the truth that beyond the ashes lies a greater flame. If you could see your own future from the vantage point of the beloved, you would not resist. You would bow. You would weep not in despair, but in gratitude. Now, let me bring this closer to your daily life. Imagine you lose a job. At first, panic. How will I survive? What will I do? Yet perhaps that loss pushes you to discover a gift within yourself that you never dared to trust. Perhaps it leads you to a path where your soul feels alive rather than chained to routine. Or imagine a relationship ends. At first, loneliness. But perhaps in that space, you learn to love yourself in a way you never did before. Perhaps you learned that the beloved's love was with you all along, and no human absence can erase it. Shams is telling you, trust the overturning. Do not be afraid when life rearranges your plans. For sometimes the beloved's hands must scatter the puzzle pieces of your life so a truer picture may emerge. You may ask, but how can I trust when I am in the middle of pain? And I will tell you, do not force yourself to feel joy when you are grieving. Do not pretend light when you are in the dark. Instead, Allow yourself to be present. Cry if you must, but do not drown in your tears. Know that the tears themselves are sacred, washing away the dust of attachment. Trust is not the denial of pain. Trust is the knowledge that pain is not the end of the story. And sometimes, beloved, the turning upside down is the only way for you to see what you truly value. Many people live asleep, chasing what others tell them to chase: status, possessions, control. But when life breaks their order, they discover what really matters: love, kindness, connection, presence. That is why Shams's words are not only comfort, but also a challenge. He is saying, stop worshiping your order. Stop confusing stability with truth. Dare to let life teach you in its wild, unpredictable way. Even the prophets, even the saints, were broken before they were raised. Joseph was thrown into a well before he was given a throne. Moses was cast into a river as a child before he became a messenger. The prophet Muhammad endured the loss of his parents, his beloved wife, his companions. Yet through that breaking, his heart was expanded to carry the mercy for all worlds. If their lives were turned upside down, how can yours not be? And if in their breaking lay their becoming, why would it not be the same for you? Listen, my friend, I am not telling you that loss is easy. I am not telling you that chaos will not hurt. But I am telling you that within that hurt is a secret gift. And if you can hold on, if you can breathe through the storm, you will find that the beloved never left you. In fact, the beloved was closest in the very moment you thought you were abandoned. So take these words of Shams into your heart. Repeat them when fear arises. How do I know that the bottom may not be better than the top? Let this question be your lantern in the night.
Beloved soul, let us walk deeper into this mystery. Think of your own life as a weaving. You see only the threads before your eyes, tangled, crossing, some torn, some bright. You wonder why certain patterns are destroyed, why certain colors disappear. You mourn the loss of symmetry. Yet, from the other side of the loom, the beloved sees a masterpiece forming. You only see disorder because your eyes are too close. Step back. Trust the weaver. One day, when the veil is lifted, you will see that what you called broken was the very design that gave your life its beauty. Do you understand now why Shams spoke so fiercely, so boldly? He wanted to break your false confidence in order. He wanted to cut the chains of fear. He wanted you to see that the ground you cling to is not the ground of truth. The ground of truth lies deeper, beyond circumstance, beyond comfort. And sometimes the only way to touch it is to lose what you thought you could not live without. When you face such moments, your first instinct may be to fight. You try to hold on tighter, to glue the broken pieces back together. But the Sufi path invites another way: surrender. Not surrender in weakness, but surrender in strength. Surrender is not giving up, it is giving over. It is saying, "Beloved, I do not understand, but I trust. Lead me through this night." Rumi said, "Try to accept the changing seasons of your soul, even the cold winters, for without winter, spring could never arrive." When life turns upside down, you are in winter, cold, stripped bare, uncertain. But winter is not the end. It is the soil of spring. Without winter's silence, flowers would never bloom. So too with your soul.
I want to speak to the fear that rises in you. Fear of failure, fear of loneliness, fear of the unknown. All these fears come when your order is broken. But my dear one, fear is a guest. It enters your house, but it cannot stay. If you welcome it, if you sit with it, you will see it dissolve. Beneath fear lies trust. Beneath trust lies love. And love is the ground you can never lose. Let me tell you a secret. The soul is not afraid of chaos. Only the ego is. The soul knows that every overturning is another step toward freedom. The ego clings to form, but the soul longs for essence. That is why when life breaks your order, something in you resists, yet something deeper in you breathes a sigh of relief. You may not admit it, but part of you was suffocating in the so-called order. Now, in the wildness, you are invited to live more fully. Perhaps you are listening to me right now, and you are in the middle of your own overturning. Maybe your plans collapsed. Maybe your heart feels shattered. Maybe your future looks like fog. Hear me. You are not alone. Every seeker walks this valley. Even the prophets walked it. Even the saints walked it. What you feel now is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a truer one.
Shams is holding out a hand to you, saying, "Come, step into the unknown. Do not be afraid. What you call the bottom may carry wings." Will you take his hand? Will you trust the wisdom of those who walked before you, who found light in darkness, who found joy in sorrow? Yunus Emre sang, "The one who falls into the fire, if he is patient, becomes pure gold." Do you hear it? Your chaos is fire. But fire is not only destruction, it is purification. It burns away what is false, leaving only what is true. So do not fear the fire. Let it do its work. You will not be consumed. You will be refined. And what of love? For in the Sufi path, everything is about love. When life breaks your order, it is love that remains. When all else is stripped away, love stands. Perhaps that is the reason for the breaking, to bring you back to love, to remind you that nothing else is as real, nothing else is as eternal. Think of a lover who receives a letter and clings to the envelope. She cherishes it, places it by her bed, even kisses it. One day, the envelope is taken, torn apart. She weeps. She thinks she has lost her treasure. Only later does she discover the letter inside, written with words of eternal love. So it is with your life. You cling to the envelope of order. When it is torn, you despair. But the beloved is whispering, "Look deeper. The letter is inside. My love was never gone." This is why Rumi said, "Don't get too comfortable. Where there is ruin, there is hope for treasure." The ruin is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It clears the ground so you may find the hidden gold. Now, let us bridge this with your modern life. Think of the culture you live in. It praises order, control, predictability. You are told to plan your career, to secure your finances, to schedule your life down to the minute. And when something breaks this order, a sudden illness, a financial crisis, a heartbreak, you panic. Society tells you failure, but Shams tells you opportunity. The world says ruin. The mystic says reborn.
Can you see the difference? Can you choose the mystic's vision?
And yes, it takes courage to let go, to trust, to surrender. It takes more courage than to fight. But the reward is freedom. Freedom from the constant fear of losing what you cling to. Freedom from the illusion that you are in control. Freedom to live in the flow of the Beloved's mercy. Let me give you another image. Imagine you are on a ship, holding the wheel tightly, trying to steer against a storm. Your arms ache, your heart races, you are terrified. But then, exhausted, you let go. You realize the ship has its own course, guided by a captain unseen. Suddenly, you breathe, you rest. The storm is still there, but you are no longer drowning in fear. This is surrender. This is trust. This is the secret Shams invites you into. So, beloved, the next time life turns you upside down, do not rush to fix it. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, what is the Beloved trying to show me here? What treasure lies hidden in this ruin? What wings are being shaped in this fall? Rumi once wrote, "Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form." That is the truth. Loss is never the end. Everything transforms. Nothing is wasted. The form may change, but the essence remains. Trust this. Live this. And you will walk with a light heart even through the darkest night. I want you to feel these words not just as ideas, but as living breath. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the area of your life that feels broken right now. See it clearly. Now, whisper to yourself, "I do not know. Perhaps this bottom is better than the top." Feel the shift in your heart. Feel how even in the unknown there is space, there is possibility, there is hope. You are stronger than you think. You are more loved than you know. The overturning of your life is not your destruction. It is your invitation to live from the soul. So walk forward, even trembling, with trust. Walk forward with your heart open. Say like Yunus, "What I thought was loss became my gain." Say like Rumi, "Try not to resist life's changes." Say like Shams, "Perhaps the bottom is better than the top." And now, my friend, let me leave you with this. Do not fear the breaking. Fear only the closing of your heart. As long as your heart stays open, every loss becomes a path to love. Every ruin becomes a doorway to the Beloved. If these words have touched you, if you too have felt your life overturned, I invite you to share in the comments, "I trust the ruin, for it is shaping me." Let us walk this path together, not as strangers, but as fellow seekers. And if this journey speaks to your soul, do not walk away in silence. Join this circle, this community of hearts. Subscribe to the channel not as a routine click, but as a way of saying, "Yes, I choose love over fear. Yes, I walk this path." And remember, you are not alone. Every seeker, every lover of truth
is walking beside you. The breaking is not the end. The breaking is the beginning. Trust it. Embrace it. Live it. And you will find one day that what you thought was loss was only love, disguised as chaos, guiding you home.